Did not enjoy the football or the baseball. We'll get to both. Orlovsky is going to join us in a minute. We begin with Jalen and the Eagles, Jackson and the Giants. Pick it up first quarter. Extra point no good, so it's 13-3. 9 minutes to go in the second quarter. National Football League and its fans, I apologize to anyone who had to sit through this. This is a 3rd and 1 from the Giant 3. They wound up running 4 consecutive tush pushes to the amusement of no one. They're jumping early. No one cares. It's ridiculous. But whatever, Brian Daboll frustrated. That was a 4th down play. Here's a 1st down play. The Giants stop this one. Brian Daboll is still aggravated. Why don't we just award them a touchdown? Getting through this
garbage.
Anyway, 17-13, Eagles the lead. At halftime, it's the Giants 20-17. And then the game really changes. Sandart, look at him. There we go.
That's how you know you're having fun and you're enjoying the game as a rookie quarterback.
They're high-fiving Rev. Scam Scatter was doing backflip.
First inside out, great play by him.
A.J. Brown wide open on the play. That's exactly how they draw it up, is for him to be right where he is. That's a touchdown that Jalen Hurts misses. Instead, it's a 68-yard return. First pick, Hurts throws after 305 straight attempts without one, which was the record. Now Giants possession, 1st and goal. The 34-17, the final. Philly, the fallout.
The execution isn't there. We get behind the chains. I get very predictable. At the end of the day, we got to be able to keep the defense guessing, not be predictable.
I don't get into it's predictable or pointing fingers. Like, I'm not going to – I think KP's doing a hell of a job, but we all got to be better, and that's just the truth. And if anybody else thinks anything different, they got to wake up.
I got to be better. Got to be better. I take ownership for it. A lot of autonomy, a lot of opportunity there with the ball in my hands, and given those situations, I have to be wiser and more detailed with it.
You had this meeting this past week with Saquon and Jalen. What was behind that?
I don't recall a meeting.
Oh, okay. The meeting never happened.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Those guys said it did happen.
Oh, well, you ain't talk to them.
You weren't in the meeting?
I don't recall.
Or you don't want to?
I don't recall.
Eagles have a lot to figure out. They can't even confirm that they're having conversations. They now have a little mini bye. Then they'll play Minnesota a week from Sunday to get it figured out. Dan Orlovsky, good enough to just get up with us early this morning and share some thoughts, which we appreciate so much. So, Danny, we talked a lot about this game yesterday. As you watched it play out, what was your single biggest takeaway from what happened to the Eagles last night?
Yeah, the Eagles got to make a change on offense. We're a third through the season. This offense stinks right now. This offense doesn't do anything well. They don't do things on offense. Early downs good. They're in the shotgun way too much. Philadelphia, you better get out of the shotgun as much as you are because it's killing your offense. And they're bad on 3rd down. I'll go to the pick 6, Greeny. They ran that same concept 4 times, the same way, essentially out of the same alignment. Defenses know what's going on. When you are constantly running this, and I know Harry talked about this, AJ being open, and I agree with that, but Jalen threw that same concept 4 times in the game. And so we could sit here and point fingers at the players and whatnot, and there's a reality. Here's the stretch. This is it, guys. I mean, there's that little stick route on the inside and flat route. That's early in the first quarter. You go a little bit later. There's that little stick route and flat route. Into the same side. Flott is sitting there watching it. Here comes a little motion. There's going to be that little stick route and flat route. I mean, they're running the same plays out of the same concepts, out of the same formations, and then this is the pick 6. And so when you, as J-Mac knows this, you show these defenders the same thing all the time. Eventually, defenders know what's coming. Lane Johnson just said, we're not doing anything to make the defense guess. They're in the shotgun all the time. When you look at Saquon's alignment, it's going to tell you more often than not what the play is. They're running the same plays. The defense does not have a big plethora of plays to guess what they're running. They got to make a change because right now this offense is bad.
I want to put the numbers up again for the new audience joining us here in our second hour of the show. Cindy, if we can, the numbers on the snaps from under center that we showed earlier, because, Dan, you talked about that yesterday, and you talked about it again here. The official number is going to say they ran 6 snaps from under center, but we don't count 4 of them because they were the tush push. So in conventional offense, they ran 46 snaps out of the gun, only 2 from under center. So, Dan, explain from a quarterback's perspective, from an offense's perspective, what the explanation for that is and why it is hurting their offense.
Yeah, I don't know the explanation of why they're doing it. You know, it's these coaches are smart, so they understand that it's a necessity to go under the center a little bit. So that I don't know from the coaching perspective why they're not doing it. Jalen Hurts has had a lot of success in a lot of different offenses. So there might be a reality where he's more comfortable in the gun, but it's not like he's incapable of going under center. And so I don't know why this year there's such a skew of it. And even the 2 times they were under center last night, Greeny, one of them was the push deviation where they just flipped it to Dallas Goedert. So it's really just one. This is how it's hurting their offense, okay? Number one, when you line up on 1st and 2nd down in the shotgun as much as they do, if you watch the defensive line of the Giants, they're standing up, engaging with the defensive lineman, and just looking at what Jalen Hurts is doing with the ball. And when they're seeing Saquon's alignment that's slightly behind Jalen Hurts on 1st and 2nd down, they're going, here comes run. And the Eagles are just abiding in that. Like, look at this. I told everybody, if you look at Saquon's toes, and they're even with Jalen Hurts' heels, they know the play. Look at the defense, guys. Look how downhill the defense is. The defensive line is just engaging. This is run. It's obvious run to these teams. And so everybody on the defense, they're not guessing. They're anticipating. If you look at the linebacker flow, there's no bootleg off of that. There's no keeper off of that. So that's the starting point, is the defense is anticipating what you're doing rather than guessing at what you're doing. The second thing is there's no play action element to this offense. There's no play action. There's no change of the defense. There's no change of the launch point. There's no stretch of it vertically and horizontally. They run the same plays. They run the same plays out of the same formations.
That's so well put, and I hope everyone was with us yesterday because Dan gave you that tape yesterday. He literally showed you where Saquon is lined up is going to dictate what they run, and my assumption was, well, if Dan can see that, it means the other teams can see it. The Eagles will self-scout. They'll change something up. I was watching it last night, and it all looked exactly the way he projected.
And the problem is, like last year, it was a pretty simple offense, too. But it didn't matter because by the time Saquon got to the line of scrimmage, it was already 5 yards down the field.
Right. Correct.
So that is they're not having success doing what they did last year. They have to come up with something. They have extra time between now and their next game. They know they have the players. They know they have the championship stuff inside of them. They need better play.
I think here's another solution, in my opinion, right? And Kevin Patullo, he's a first-time play caller. But they have a guy, Nick Sirianni, who's the head coach, who's called plays before. Their tight end coach, Jason Michael, that was my first offensive coordinator when I went to Tennessee. You might have to make that change because your job at that position, you see it from Kevin O'Connell, you see it from Sean McVay. Even though they have elite players, they make the game easier for their elite players. That's not what Kevin Patullo is doing right now. I think he's all over the place as a play caller, and it's really affecting this football team and their production.
I'll say this. I think we're all saying the same thing to a certain extent. They were in the gun a ton last year. And to Graza's point, the difference was last year, they were just better than you. Their offensive line was better than your defensive line, so we can do those things. The percentages are very similar. When you're trying to be as elite as the Philadelphia Eagles are, and you're trying to go to back-to-back Super Bowls, part of it is recreating yourself every single year, whether you have success or you don't. What worked last year doesn't mean it's going to work this year. So now when players leave because you're winning a Super Bowl, when you don't have the same exact roster, what is the strength of this team, and how do we get the most out of it? So to what Dan's saying, last year we didn't have to go under center. This year we may have to find some things differently to do as an offense because, hey, all offseason, teams have been studying everything you've done. You have to recreate yourself.
So Dan, I'll give it to you on this thought. And when they said, we're not the defending champs, we're not defending anything, we're putting last year behind, I didn't think that they meant it this literally, but they seem to have. So if you were there, and I was actually quite, put off is the wrong word, concerned with A.J. Brown saying, I don't know, in the meeting, that makes you feel a little more, that last part of that soundbite you heard, makes you worry a little bit about the chemistry. It's always felt a little fragile there ever since what happened 2 years ago. So if you're there, they have a mini bye. They play Minnesota a week from Sunday. What's the first thing you're doing to try and get this thing fixed?
We have to change the way we approach our offense, and there has to be an advantage created schematically. And right now there's not. And so you have to look at you're self-scouting and going, what are we doing too much of? I understand where Jerry Mack is coming from in relation to last year, but it is higher in comparison. And this reminds me so much, Greeny, of, do you remember the first, or maybe, I think it was the first year Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay. And we were talking about how they were just so reliant on my guy better than your guy, my talent better than your talent. And it was this hurdle that they had to get over of, no, you've got to create schematic advantage for your offense. And so I think the things that they have to look at are, number one, can they run a little bit more of their offense from underneath center? Number two, can they incorporate a handful more play action plays in their offense? And then number three, can they figure out ways on third and obvious passing situations to not get absolutely embarrassed by the zone pressures? Because right now they're the worst offense in the NFL handling it.
All right, Orlovsky with us this morning. He's good enough to stay for another conversation as we get to the other side of this. As I said,